All right, making a little video here, reviewing your portfolio. Now, I only have one of the two portfolios right now. I have your print portfolio. I don't have a link to the web. I've looked at email and I don't have anything there, and I don't see any links here, so I don't know where to go. So I can give you half the points now if this proves to be all complete. So let's check it out. Um, this cover page, yeah, it is going to exist in your physical portfolio, so I do encourage you to put your logo right there, maybe your name listed. Um, Layout in general looks good. These subtitles look a little too close to your main title, so I'd lower subtitles and body copy in all three columns. Lower that down. And then I don't understand why this gray bar shows up. I just make all this part white so that the text right here is a little easier to read. I might move these up, the posters higher, just slightly, like right to here. Um, and then I would look for a little more consistency in the way you use the grid. So I take it that this is following a column break, an alley or gap right there. And I'm really glad that these are the same size gaps. But I would hope that this background could go all the way up to this point and down to this point. In other words, it kind of lines up on the grid as well. So don't let the mock-ups be the deciding factor in how much of a background you show. You might have to separate the background from the mock-up and make it a separate thing. So in InDesign, you put the mock-up background down first, you make it fit the grid, and then you lay down, in this case, 3 posters, complete with drop shadows and everything, independent of the background, and you can move it around and scale it and size it to fit comfortably within the background square that's matched to your grid. That would be the ideal situation, I suppose. And it does look really, there is something odd on these. Notice how there's like edges. So I'm not sure. I think your dimensions and the poster dimension they're using is different. So you may have to increase your width and just make it solid color on either side, you know, I guess, but that might change this one. But maybe people wouldn't notice. I don't know. It does. You can see the white gap there, so, or that small gray gap. So you might want to fix that. Okay, and then that break, we don't need that break. We'll get rid of that too. Going on to the next one now. Really nice how you've blurred out the background, so I focus on your newspaper ads. Do know that a newspaper ad is kind of like, it's an excellent skill to have. Every graphic designer should have that skill, but newspaper as an industry as a whole isn't doing very well right now. So, yeah. So I'm glad they're here, but I don't want to see any more. If I look at this, you have print material, print material, print material. So I'm going to encourage you to consider going to some more modern form of material, social media, web, app interface, something that is a little more current. So that's a challenge there. And then I would carefully look at these newspaper ads, and know that legibility is really important. In other words, who's still buying newspaper? Well, old people are buying newspapers. Okay, so you're gonna have to make sure that the contrast and legibility right here is supreme, so people can read it. If they have a hard time seeing, they're just gonna skip over this. Not enough contrast. An easy way to solve it overall is just put a great big block of white over the photo, make it transparent to say 20 to 50%, and then put your text on top of that, and then we'll have a much more easy to read piece, which, considering the audience, it makes a lot of sense. Same thing here. As far as breaks, look how skinny these are. I would set a standard. These are bigger and these are wider than these are. The width here is different than the height here. So I'd make it consistent. In this first one you did, this one, they're almost consistent, but not slightly. I would make it, again, base it on your grid and then make it consistent. And again, I want an alignment, and I would hope that alignment is actually based on the grid. And again, I'd get rid of this bar so the white type doesn't overlap that weird spot. And again, lift these slightly. Okay. Same thought here. Lift these slightly. Oh, you have a bigger gap between title and subtitle. Good. Still have this strange gray bar for some reason. And you can see the differentiation in size. And again, gaps are incomplete. So, let's go into InDesign. Let's go into your master pages. Let's set up the number of columns. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 columns. And then we'll find the right one, and we'll actually break these to the grid, and we'll actually be consistent on that and go from there. So big picture, I'm encouraging you to explore some modern form of media. Not saying these don't look good. They definitely do. But I do want you to communicate to any potential employer out there that you're part of the new movement, 21st century forms of communication, that you're on top of those things, because they're going to need you to be. Social media, web, etc. All right, good job. Thank you, and I hope you find that helpful.